Hello, and thank you for listening to another episode of The Hangry Mexican. Today's episode has a guest that has a very successful olive oil import business. Now, you probably just thought olive oil is something you might get at the store. Maybe you're familiar with some of the health benefits, but there's so much more to it. And what about if you want to start a business on your own? You know, for anybody listening out there, I think this is going to be a very special episode for all of you. We talked to Donatella Lopez, and she owns Le Sorelle Imports. And she's going to be talking about olive oil, about her business, how she got started. And although it might be intimidating, I think a lot of you that are interested in maybe starting your own business, or going into a venture, maybe just something on the side, maybe a hobby, this might be really interesting to hear and hear what she has to say. So let's get started. DJ, roll that music. Yes, we're live on the podcast. Donatella, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so I think we should start with a little bit of an introduction. Obviously, I know who you are. You're this big mega star in the olive world. Olive oil world. Thanks. Oh, by the way, everybody, I have Claire here, my wife, joining me in the show today. She'll be also asking some questions. It's the first time that she's on the show as such, where you can actually hear her voice. Normally, you just hear her in the background.
Yeah. Hello, Hangry Mexican Podcast listeners. Thanks for being here with us.
All right. So, Donatella, just give us a little bit of who you are and what you do. In the meantime, I'm going to take a sip of my coconut beer here.
Okay, perfect. Well, again, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. And what I do, I'm based out of Santa Barbara, and I have an olive oil import business. We don't have only olive oil, but we have other gourmet spreads as well from southern Italy, Puglia specifically. It's where my mom was born and raised, and where we spent our summers with our grandparents. So I think it was in 2012. We were in Puglia, Italy for a family reunion. Actually, it was my nephew's baptism. And we were at his party at my uncle's estate, and he actually had some wine that I just had this idea come to me, and I thought I have to import this wine and sell it in California. Well, we ran into lots of roadblocks there. Importing wine is pretty challenging. But what I did decide to do is I thought, well, why not olive oil? Puglia is actually the region that produces the most olive oil out of any other region in Italy, which is, most people think it's Tuscany since they export so much, but actually Puglia is the main producer. So we started there, and we feel so excited that now it's been going on. It's 7 years that we've been doing this, wow. So a long time. And here we are. We've got our olive oil in our spreads, and we actually are starting to do some supper club events in Santa Barbara as well.
And you were just recently at something new that Santa Barbara was trying out, the night market. Is that right, Claire?
Santa Barbara night market.
Yeah. And that gave you an opportunity to actually showcase or feature your products to a broader audience. So how was that experience?
It was amazing. The feedback that we got was really incredible, mostly because we didn't realize so many people had actually traveled to Italy and Puglia and didn't really know where to find the products here. So that was great to know that there were quite a few people who have traveled that region, which is exciting since it's a little bit off the grid. And again, I think people were really surprised. They loved the product. I think we basically sold out of everything at that event. So...
Oh, wow.
It was really, really fun. It was fun to share. It's always fun to share foods with friends and new friends. And I think that's what Puglia's tradition is all about, is sharing food. It's a way of love at the table.
Would you say you're bigger, you identify more with your Italian side of the family? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. My mom, the Italian one, definitely raised us 100% Italian. The Italian way. We spent every summer with our grandparents there. We have a very extensive family, so we got to see them every summer, and definitely that's a part of who I am today.
Wow. No, that's amazing. Now, I know very little about marketing or how this importing business works. Can you explain to me just a little bit about the any obstacles that you face? Because I'm assuming, just based on having it be imported from a different country, that product might cost you more than what you're selling. I don't know. I'm probably wrong here, but maybe you can explain to me how that process works.
Sure. Actually, the cost isn't as high as you would anticipate it to be. These all come in via ocean freight. So there's ports nearby Puglia, so these are transported to that port, and then from there, they're brought over to Los Angeles. So.
Mm-hmm. And Claire actually is stepping out right now because I think we have the maintenance guy coming in and checking on our washing machine. The washing machine has been leaking for a little while, so we're trying to figure out what the problem is. So while she's taking care of that, we'll continue on with this podcast. Eventually, she'll come in. But the olive oil, I mean, the bottle is so beautiful. I'm just looking at it. Do you have a say in the design that goes on the bottle, or is this just how it comes?
Yeah, so this comes from the DeCarlo estate. What we have here today is our basil extra virgin olive oil. It's probably our most popular of our flavored. And what makes our flavored one so special is that the basil is grown on the same estate as the olives. And the basil goes right into the mill with the olives. So all the essential oils are extracted at the same time. Most flavored olive oils have essential oils added to them. So this here is a very different process. We also have lemon and mandarin in that process too. The whole fruit goes into the press with the olives. So it's super fragrant and it's super flavorful. One unique fact about that too is when an olive oil has added essential oil to it, the flavor is actually flat. It's just a fragrance that you get from it. Whereas this, it's full of flavor and has a really beautiful fragrance.
What would you use this for?
I like to say you can use the basil olive oil on anything, but it's mainly used on, or what I recommend using it on, is any tomato-based pasta. You can put it on omelets or eggs. That's a favorite. Fresh mozzarella or burrata cheese. Burrata is amazing, and it's actually a cheese from Puglia, so it goes perfectly with these olive oils, specifically the basil, I think, because then it's like a caprese salad.
Wow. Yeah, I think I got a chance to try a little bit of it a while ago, and I think it was actually during the Santa Barbara night market event during the holidays, and it was amazing. Like, I couldn't believe what I was actually tasting, because usually, olive oil is olive oil. A lot of people know what it tastes like, but it's great that you're able to import a product that comes in just different flavors.
And I think that's what's so surprising about the olive oils from Puglia specifically, is how much flavor they have. There's over 500 varietals of olives in Italy alone, and some of the most flavorful olive oil varietals, specifically the Coratina, which is the one that DeCarlo has, is the most intense out of all the olives that there are. And so you get that nice bold flavor, and it's offset a little bit by the basil as well. So it's a really nice, well-balanced olive oil. And again, one of the unique things about Puglia is that there's 75 million olive trees in that area. So you get so much variety, both in terms of the actual varietals, but the flavors as well.
I was wondering if you can just talk to us about the name of your company and just describe the meaning and how you chose that name.
Yeah, so Le Sorelle actually means the sisters in Italian. And we came up with that name because that is who my sister and I are. We're sisters, and it's a family business. It's definitely something that is very meaningful to not just us, but all the generations, before us. And now my sister has a son. And so I think it really just embodies the whole concept of it being a family tradition.
I love that because it's such a family thing. I really like hearing that. And I was curious too, who are your mentors in this business? Because you need help along the way to do something like this.
Absolutely. I think my main mentors here in Santa Barbara, I would have to say the best mentor I have is from a program called SCORE in Santa Barbara, and it's free mentorship for business owners. And it's the mentors that are there are people who have built companies similar to yours and have, successfully either sold or retired from their company. So my business advisor, Tom Phillips, he owned and built an import business with his brother and brother-in-law, so very parallel to my sister and I. And so he's mentored me there, and I've had another advisor who owned a winery in Santa Barbara, who was very inspired by Italian wines, and she also lived in Italy, so she was able to help me in terms of marketing the brand. And I definitely think it takes a team of mentorship to help a business succeed.
And before we go on any further, I just want to tell everybody that if you hear any whimpering in the background, nobody's suffering, nobody's been tortured. It's just our little Cocker Spaniel. He's in the room here with us in our little studio, and he's looking at some
light reflections.
Yeah, so he gets a little crazy there, but okay. Anyway, go on.
I have
Claire.
another question. So if there's people listening right now and they're listening because you started a business, what are your maybe top 2 or 3 tips that you have for people listening that are interested thinking about starting their own business?
I would say the most important thing is to have an idea of what you want to do, and once you have the idea of what you want to do, I would explore, again, finding mentors who have done something similar that can guide you on the first steps to take. I think there were definitely some steps I took early on that I could have waited to do later down the road. And we also didn't find a business advisor until a few years into the business. So if you could have somebody to help you beforehand, get some planning, I would definitely do that. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Weave, Women's Economic Ventures in Santa Barbara. We definitely would not have made it without them. They offer several programs. One particularly, it's called SET, where you don't have to know what kind of business you want to do to take the class, but you learn everything you need to know about what it takes to not just start a business, but run a business. And they're an incredible organization. So I would definitely start there.
And what do you think is the hardest part about doing business that you had to learn?
The unforeseen. So I think one of the challenges about business is that there are many elements outside of your control that will affect your business. And just being prepared for that. And even when the challenge seems big, just know that there are ways to overcome it. I think that's where the creativity kicks in. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And coming back to just the business of olive oil, why did you, out of all the stuff that you could have imported, why did you choose to stick with the olive oil import?
Well, I think the olive oil import was so special to us because, again, being from Puglia, it's just a sea of olive trees. It's literally, like I said, 75 million trees in such a small region. So the first thing that strikes you when you're there is the ocean of trees. And again, it's just such a part of the tradition, the history. We grew up with that around us at all times, and it was our norm to have olive oil at the table. And again, it's just a reflection of Puglia in and of itself.
Oh, that's awesome. Sandy is getting a little crazy here, so I think we're gonna have to put on the. Claire's just brought in some treats there. This little Cocker Spaniel has a lot of personality. We've been giving him salmon oil to help with his fur and dry skin and itching and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I hear it's good for brain function, too.
Oh, yeah. No, it has a lot of...
He needs all the brain function he can get.
Yeah. There's a lot of health benefits to salmon oil, but there's also a lot of health benefits to olive oil, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Can you... let's talk a little bit about that. So what are some of the health benefits here?
There are so many health benefits in olive oil. And again, the health benefits that we hear about that come from olive oil are only found in an extra virgin olive oil. So anything outside of the extra virgin doesn't have those properties. Of course, the antioxidants are extremely potent, so it's great for brain function. It's great for skin. It's great for lowering cholesterol. You can use it as a skin ointment. You can use it to treat burns. I mean, traditionally, it's been used medicinally as well. So it's the part of the Mediterranean diet, as they say. And what's special about these too is because the flavor from these olives from Puglia are so strong, it's the antioxidants that make that flavor so strong. So the health benefits are really high.
That's awesome. I've tried some other types of olive oils that are also flavored, and then they have this little like wax taste to it afterwards, like a waxy aftertaste.
Exactly.
Yours doesn't.
Yes.
What's that? How did you achieve that?
So thank you for bringing that up. That's actually an incredible way of describing it. So many olive oils that you'll try out there have that waxier, like I call it, it almost tastes or smells like a crayon. Mm-hmm. And that's actually an indicator that it's a rancid olive oil.
Oof.
Yeah,
So meaning expired or
literally rotten. Ugh. So it shouldn't have that if it's a fresh extra virgin, because it is considered, a live food. So you want to make sure it has that nice fresh smell. And if you smell any waxy smells or flavor, even you definitely know it's a rancid olive oil.
Oh man, what should people do if they encounter something like that? Is it going to harm them if they consume it, or should you just throw it out and be on the safe side?
I would just throw it out. I mean, it's not going to harm you, but it doesn't have any of the health benefits that you're looking for, which would be, it's great for your heart, it's great for your brain, it's great for lowering cholesterol. It's definitely something you want to keep in every meal, I think. And very few extra virgin olive oils are truly extra virgin. So there's a great book out there called The Extra Virginity of Olive Oil, which goes into depth about that. But about 90% of what's on the shelf that's labeled extra virgin is not actually real extra virgin olive oil.
Is there a way that somebody can tell whether it's the real deal or if it's, something else?
I would say if you even look at the back label, you might get some bottles that say this is olive oil from Greece, Spain, Tunisia, Greece. If it comes from all these different countries, it's not an extra virgin, because they need to be picked, pressed, and bottled within 24 hours. So if it's coming from all these different areas, you already know it's not a real extra virgin. Another way too is the smell test. Does it smell like crayon? Does it have a flat flavor? Those are all indicators. You can also tell by the color sometimes. Those are just some ways to know.
Wow. Claire, do you have any other questions? You seem like you have something there that you want to ask.
Just talk to us about your upbringing and what your family life was like, and how food was so involved in your family life growing up.
Oh, yes. Yes, I love this part because I know Italian families, just like Mexican families, are huge on food.
huge on food and overfeeding, I would say. So again, I grew up with a very traditional Southern Italian mom. She moved out to the United States in her 20s. So, I'm first generation American. So there was everything Italian in our household, which meant we didn't eat out growing up. We always ate at home. She always cooked, her traditional recipes. She had a cookbook, that of course my grandmother would write her recipes in, or aunts. And that's a tradition, I would say, an Italian tradition, to have the notebook cookbook at home with everyone's recipes in there. And we ate a lot of what was traditionally Southern Italian, a lot of pasta with tomato sauce or pesto that she would make at home, and the tomato sauce she would make from scratch, or lots of fish, lots of vegetables, and being at the table every night, being together was so important. And I remember even dinner parties that she would throw. She would make focaccia, the morning of, or start cooking in the morning, just like my grandmother would. And I would say that's something that even now I really enjoy doing for friends. If they come over, I love just making food and sharing that with friends and family.
What's your favorite go-to dish that you just absolutely love? You have it nailed down, you know how to cook it and make it with your eyes closed.
So there's two. One is my mushroom risotto, and the other one too is my bolognese sauce, which I also learned from my mom. And I think those are my two go-tos. So.
And I also had Donatella's salmon one night when we lived together, and that was really tasty.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Memorable dish.
And of course, wine.
Yes.
At the dinner table. So.
Are you a big fan of red or white?
I think now that we're going into summer, I'm drinking more red, but I do like the full-bodied, I'm going more into white, but I love the full-bodied reds, which again are very typical Southern Italian, to have the bold, big flavored wines. Just like the olive oils in the south of Italy are very bold and have a much fuller flavor.
So at home, growing up, you had all these meals and cooked. Did you learn how to make them? Was your mom inviting you into the kitchen and showing you how to do things?
Yes.
Because in my household, I would always get kicked out of the kitchen. So I had to learn how to cook later in life. But how was your experience?
Yeah, I remember my mom would pull up a chair next to her in the kitchen, and I would stand on the chair and help her, prep food on the countertop. And then, she would teach me how to put meals together. And I remember the first thing she taught me was just the basic tomato sauce, which I think I had nailed down by the time I was maybe in 6th grade. I would make that, after school for myself. But my mom taught me from a very young age. And I remember even helping her make focaccia when I was 4 or 5. And it was just something fun that we all did together. My sister as well. We would all be in the kitchen.
Wow, that's awesome. So it was a very tight-knit family that you had. Yes,
very tight-knit. And even when we would be in Puglia in the summers, of course, my grandmother would be in the kitchen, and her sister, or she had 2 sisters, which would always be there during the summers too. And then my mom, my sister, and I. So it was all a lot of fun.
Wow. And you said you grew up here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever spend, in my example, every time that school was out for the summer, because in the U.S., for anybody listening here, you get I still think you get 3 months off, right? It's been a while since I've been to elementary school, but during these 3 months that we'd be on vacation from school as kids, we would go and just live in Mexico for the summer. Did you get a chance to do that as you were growing up?
Yes. So that's exactly what we would do. We would pack up at the end of the school year. I remember we would just pack up, and then my mom would kind of just lug us all over to Italy with our big bags. And at the time we didn't have technology, like iPhones. So it was a lot of finding ways to entertain ourselves on those long flights. And my grandmother, we would arrive to Italy, go to my grandmother's house, and she always had fresh orecchiette and tomato. That was her dish, her welcome dish, and that's such a typical pugliese dish. And those pasta orecchiette she would have made at the bakery in the morning of that we would get there, and then it was fresh pasta, and it was just very memorable arriving there and then spending the summer with her and all the big lunches and dinners. It was a lot of fun.
Is there one story, one experience that really stands out to you growing up and going over to Italy?
Well, it's funny. I just was with a friend on Wednesday, and she asked me about, was wine something that we grew up with as kids? And I said, yeah, it was just the norm, and I think what I thought was the norm was not really the norm here. But I remember my grandma, I was probably in elementary school, maybe third grade. She would send me over to the shop across from her house in the square, and she would send me over there with these huge jugs to have them filled with wine. And I would go buy her, wine, and then we would take it. I would carry it back to her house, and we would fill up all the bottles with a funnel. We would use a funnel to fill them up from the big jug, and then we would just have wine in the fridge, and that was our table wine for lunch and dinner. And that's definitely the norm. But, I think that was one of the most memorable things, her, me helping her by going to get, the wines or whatever she needed at the store.
Sounds like wine is like water in America. Like
very much so.
Always on the table.
Always.
Just the life of a family, or just
very much so. We always had wine and water at the table, and, the kids, would start out with the glass of water, and, you would put one drop of wine in the water, and then as the kids get older, the ratio of water to wine would shift. So I think it's something, that was just part of the culinary tradition that was really memorable.
Would you ever try to sneak a little bit more wine in your water?
Probably not until middle school, but
that's fun. And did your parents practice that same concept here in the States, or was it only?
No, I feel like it was just something that we did there, only because even having the table wine available it's just such a typical thing that you have in Puglia. And I remember too, even at a younger age, I must have been 5 years old. My grandma lived down the street from, it was the Salumeria, which is where they sell, all the different salamis and cheeses and maybe some bread. And she would just give me her list of things that she needed and some lira at the time, which now is the euro. And I would just go to the market and come back and bring it to her. And I think we were exposed to the whole food and wine culture at a very young age.
Oh, when's the last time you were in Italy?
I was there 2 years ago now. I'm coming up on 2 years.
Do you still practice the same things that you grew up with when you're over there?
Yes, very much so. We still go to the markets every morning, and we load up on all the cheeses and the fresh, or really it's the fresh mozzarella and ricotta, which is typical of Puglia, and all the salamis and the bread, and then we just snack on that throughout the day and then make the big dinners at night.
Is it like is it actually in the city or the countryside where you're staying?
So where we stay is a very small town in Puglia called Polignano a Mare. It's actually become very popular in the past 5 years or 7 years with bloggers. So when you Google Puglia, that's normally the face of Puglia is this town. When my mom was growing up, there must have been like 15,000 people in that town, but now it's over 30 or 40.
Wow.
And I actually ran into a lady from Santa Barbara there a couple years ago, which would have never happened when we were growing up. And so it's a coastal town. It's right on the water. Again, the name is Polignano a Mare, which is Polignano on the sea. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Oh, man. So I want to visit it now.
Yeah, you've got to visit it.
Yes, Oscar, I agree.
You want rings, you want cars, you want trips abroad.
She wants it all.
Exactly. We actually just celebrated our 1 year anniversary.
Congratulations. Yeah. I
Thank
can't
you.
believe it came up so quickly. The wedding was just seemed like yesterday.
I know, yeah, we're so happy that we're enjoying this period of life where we just got new jobs. We now work in Los Angeles, and it's an amazing accomplishment. But we always told ourselves, okay, so this was a year ago when we got married. Okay, so in a year, if we're still here working in Santa Barbara, then we're probably just gonna take a trip to any place we want to. And we were looking at Hawaii for the most part, but yeah, then we got the jobs, and we're like, all right, well, I guess I prefer the new jobs than going to Hawaii.
Which is awesome because now it's a huge, it's a new scene down here in LA. It's an awesome food scene, which is really cool. There's a lot to explore here.
Yes, I'm curious. What has had your business like opened up doors to like different events, festivals? What type of new things have you been able to do because of the olive oil and spread business?
So, well, in terms of our business, last August we did a pop-up dinner. I just thought, okay, what can we do? We had a tough year in Santa Barbara last year, but I thought, okay, why don't we try this just to show people how to use the olive oil? And it was really popular and really well received. So we've done 4 dinners since then, and we hope to do some sort of a supper club or a regular dinner. And I think it's been a great way to bring community together. Mm-hmm. And it's been really awesome. And we've attended a lot of festivals. We're doing the Vintners Festival in a couple weeks. So we've gotten to know so many people in the community, different winemakers, different cheese makers. It's been amazing just to meet other people doing cool businesses in Santa Barbara and finding ways to work together.
And have you traveled a lot, or do you travel a lot as part of your business and what you do?
I do travel a lot, I would say, mainly just back to Puglia if we have to do, find new suppliers for certain things. We haven't in a while. We actually love who we work with, but if we want to eventually expand and maybe bring in a pasta line or whatnot, we would do travel for that. I did travel to Chicago last year for the National Restaurant Association, which was awesome because, again, you get to see a lot of people there and people from across the whole world doing different things in the food industry. And also there's the fancy food event in San Francisco in the winter, and there's the fancy food in New York in the summer. And that's something I feel like everybody should experience because it's probably the best gourmet food expo out there.
We'll write that down, Oscar.
Yeah.
We'll go to that.
Yes. No, I love food festivals. That's one of the reasons why I actually love being in the LA area and working there. I mean, eventually, right now, we're in beautiful Oxnard, but we're going to be moving to LA, and it's precisely because of all the awesome restaurants that are out there,
Yes.
the culinary experiences.
I love it. It's awesome.
Is there a particular part in LA that you like, that you would recommend us to go visit?
I would say there's great restaurants in the actually in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills area. I would say those are the areas, mainly West Hollywood. If I remember well, there was quite a few great Italian restaurants there.
That's awesome. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah, Santa Monica too has great places. So
yeah, we were looking into maybe making that our next home, but we'll see. The prices, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We definitely want to own at some point.
Yeah.
So we want to, save up that money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know we've been through some hardships in the past, but with you and your business, when you first started out, what were some of the hardships that you faced, and how did you overcome that?
I think some of the hardships from starting the business was really you don't have anything to go by. So you're still building, you're building business, you're building relationships, you're building credibility. And I think what we came up against really was just people, it's a competitive market, and just kind of breaking your way into the market was hard. But, actually, I would say the hardest part of our business was figuring out the whole import logistics. we had no clue what we were getting into in terms of imports and what that meant and all the logistics on the European side and everything you had to be ready for on the US side. So I think that was the hardest part, but it's amazing how when you have an idea to do something, everything really did fall into place. And it was the biggest challenge, I would say.
Were there any moments at all during the process of you creating this business that just got you thinking, maybe this isn't it, maybe this isn't for us, let's just call it quits here? Did that ever cross your mind?
Yes, it did. And I think that's something that, even when I listen to other business owners, you definitely go through that. And I think that's probably the hardest part of being a business owner and the most rewarding, when you come up against these challenges where you're just depleted and exhausted and don't think you can do it anymore, but are able to push through it and see the results on the other side and know that you've done it and that you can keep going and that, successes are on the other side of that. I think that's the most rewarding, and it's definitely, you definitely come across those moments.
when you were first starting out, you were working full time still at a traditional job, if you will, while
Correct.
still trying to run your business?
Yes. So I was doing that when I first started the business in San Diego. I was actually working about 30 hours a week at a yoga studio. So it was a pretty laid back job with a lot of time to do computer research. And that was critical at the beginning. And then when I moved out here to Santa Barbara, I did go back to work full time. So it's a journey, but it's a hustle and it's rewarding. It's like, a baby almost. You put a lot of time into caring for it, and it's got a life of its own.
So when you and your sister decided that you were going to get into this business of importing olive oil and selling it here in the States, what was the reaction of your parents? Were they supportive, or were they a little worried that you might not, have the help that you needed?
I think they were like, they liked the idea, but I think they were like, what are you doing? So they were definitely trying to keep me focused on, the plan B career plan, which was, stick to your corporate life and, that. But I think as they've seen the business evolve, they're more, they see it now and they're really excited about it. And, they love it too. And I think it's just, parents want the best for you. And I think it's hard, it is a big undertaking, but when you come up with the idea, you're so excited that you don't really get what you're going into. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious if you could tell our viewers where they could find your products.
Of course. So we've got all of our products online at Amazon or on Amazon. If you look up Le Sorelle olive oil, which is spelled Lesorelle, olive oil, you'll find all of our product there. If you're local in Santa Barbara, you can find it at Pure La Fond or Montecito Grocery, and it'll be in more retail locations. But really, for anyone who's an Amazon buyer, you can buy it with your Prime membership. So it's easy to find.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you're really expanding your business.
Yes.
Which is excellent. I tried having my own business in the past, and that didn't work out. So I know that it's super tough. I read somewhere that they usually say that it takes 2 years to get your business really to somewhat profitable stage. Was that the case for you, or did it take a little longer than
I
that?
think it took longer, and I think I have to say what you said is absolutely true. We unfortunately had all the natural disasters that happened in Santa Barbara last year, which again, we're so thankful to Weave, who they were able to help us with emergency loans during that time. And again, we wouldn't have made it without them. So it's very challenging, I would say. And, because of the setbacks that we've had, and along with many other businesses, I think, sometimes those numbers, it can be 2 years, it can be 5 years. You might have to readjust your business? I mean, we were doing wholesale, working with all the restaurants in town, and now we've gone to all retail. Just we've had to shift our model. So I think you're always come up against challenges, and I think that's the beauty of owning business. So, we went through one business model that we thought was going to work, and then, we had to shift it. So I think it's always evolving.
Oh, thank goodness for the digital age where you can market yourself
Thank
online.
goodness. Yeah, it's been a lifesaver.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, like, how would you have pulled this off, like some 20 years ago?
Right.
When there was no... no real social media or no real marketing tools that you could do online.
Right.
It's incredible what you've been able to accomplish with just is it just you and your sister that are running this business?
Correct. Yeah, it's just us. So yeah, it's been awesome, and I think it's a lot of fun too, because ultimately it's what we love to do. We love making food, we love sharing food, and so I think this is just our way of being able to share Pulia's tradition with the people that we love.
Bringing joy into the world.
Exactly.
Via people's stomachs.
Exactly.
That's
a little bit of
awesome.
La Dolce Vita here.
Yeah. Well, see, then that's the one of the reasons why I created this podcast, because I always think that the best conversations come over a meal or a beverage. So no, it's awesome. Now, one question that I had, because I'm really curious about, is you've worked the traditional jobs, and you work here, and you in your business, and you work with family. So do you find it that it's easier or more difficult to work with family members?
I think it's a little bit of both, but it definitely comes with its challenges. Definitely, which those challenges working with family can at times be more intense than working through challenges at the workplace, or there's other parts of working with family that make it that much easier, because you have a certain level of trust with them. So I think it's they both have their pros and cons. So
That's great. Yeah, I'm just imagining family reunions. If you get in some kind of argument and you go to a family reunion and you're just staring at each other, so you can't get away.
yeah, you'll need lots of wine for that family reunion.
No, Claire and I used to work side by side at the same TV station, and it was never difficult. But at the same time, when we would get home, we couldn't really ask each other, well, how did your day go? Because it's well, you were there 2 feet away. You know how it went.
I still asked you, but
Yeah, but see, now it took a whole different turn. Now I feel like it's a little bit more meaningful now when you ask, how did your day go? Because now you really weren't there, and you want to see how the day went.
Definitely. Definitely.
So I kind of feel you on that. I've never actually worked with a family member, but like I said, I've worked in the same job with my wife here, and it was a good experience. I don't know if we'll ever have that again, but we did make a good team while working there. So I know that sometimes working with family members, you make a really good team.
You do, and I feel like even at the night market, that was an awesome opportunity for Anna, my sister, and I to work together almost 2 months side by side every day. Was Thursday through Sunday, but it was the most that we've showed up and been there, the same hours, and it was really a lot of fun. So, moments like that are really special and memorable with family. So,
did your nephew get involved in the night market, help at all?
Oh, yes, he did. He was probably our best salesman at the night market. So he knew all about the olive oils. He was able to talk to everyone about how healthful and tasty it is. So he was awesome.
Like, even kids like it, so you need to get this.
Very enthusiastic. Yeah, he was awesome.
Oh, that's great. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the night market. How did that come about? Did somebody approach you out of nowhere, or like, what happened there that got you involved in this new concept?
Right. We were actually approached, I think, again, like I was saying, through the festivals, you meet the whole community of business owners and food and wine industry people in Santa Barbara. So one of the organizers from the night market knew us from those circles of the festivals and business networking. And so she approached us, and that's how it all started. But there was a gentleman who put together the whole concept and pitched it to the city. And what he did was so, I think, revolutionary for Santa Barbara. I think people, a lot of locals were kind of missing an element of coming into downtown and coming together as a community. So that was really awesome and really healing, I would say, after the year prior's holiday season. Mm-hmm. So it was really, really great. And we're scheduled to do it again this year. They're planning on actually expanding.
Is that breaking news?
I think you just broke news.
Yes. So definitely stay on the lookout for Santa Barbara's Night Market 2019.
Awesome. In the same location or different?
Yes, the same location. They say it's going to be bigger this year.
Oh,
so
wow.
It should be really exciting.
Wow, folks, you heard it here first. I'm sure of it.
In the Hangry Mexican podcast. Oh, yeah. Well, this episode's going to be going in early May, actually.
Oh,
so,
perfect.
Yeah. So we're gonna have the news here. Oh,
Great.
Man.
Awesome. So again, I think it was really amazing, and I think there might, maybe look into expanding it to other cities. So maybe we might be seeing one in LA in the future. So that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I will help out with anything you guys need.
Oh,
and you know
awesome.
That. I could be a sales girl.
I'll be the tester.
Yes, perfect.
Now, I would think doing business in Santa Barbara or being based in Santa Barbara is harder than most places. Mm-hmm. Is that the case for you? And if so, like, why are you in Santa Barbara? Do you think you'd ever move out your operations out elsewhere?
I definitely think it'll be moving out towards LA. But I actually think Santa Barbara was the perfect place to start a business. It's such a great community in Santa Barbara. So you meet people rather quickly who then, through word of mouth are able to introduce you to other people. And then, your business has an ability to grow quickly in Santa Barbara. And I think that was one of the benefits of starting a business there.
It's great. I'm glad you said that. Because I know a lot of people, they might be looking into starting their own business. Not me, but people I know. And also countless of other people that might be listening to this podcast. And they don't know how to go about it. Mm-hmm. Is there, in your sound advice, what is a good entry point into creating your business? Like, what is the number one, or maybe your top 3 things that you need from the get-go to even attempt to launch a business?
That's a big question, but I would say if you have the idea, just the biggest thing is just start somewhere. Mm-hmm. So many people get stuck on, do I do it? Just start. I started by just getting an EIN number, which is a tax number essentially. And from there, I formed the business, and that gave me motivation just to take the next steps. Again, if you can find a mentor, SCORE is a great program that's free, completely free, and has incredible advisors. We can't say enough about Weave. They've been amazing throughout the years. Those are all places where you can start once you have the idea to create a plan. And I would say, be open to shifting from your original idea. And I think that's something that we had to be open to. Was we went into it with a certain idea, but that can always change. And sometimes what you really want to bring to the table is not what people want, and you have to listen to your buyers and your customers and tailor to what their needs are.
Has anyone ever come up to you and said, "Oh, I wish you could import this," and would you do that?
Yes. So actually, we got a lot of requests at the night market. That was awesome because we got in front of so many people. They wanted a spicy olive oil. So
ooh, that's a good one.
That was really high in demand, and we're really excited that we actually got our shipment in with the chili extra virgin olive oil, so that'll now be available to everybody. And it's
another
awesome.
breaking news.
Another breaking news.
You are just full of breaking news today.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
It's really, really awesome. It's also from the Decathlon estate, which is all organic trees, and all the chilies are grown on their estate too. So very exciting.
Wow.
Right. I think that really speaks to the maybe the Latino community in
Yes.
Santa Barbara too love that spicy salsa.
Very much so. Very much
That's
so.
great.
Yeah. So we'll be able to add a little heat to what we make coming up soon.
That's awesome. I think I would prefer. Actually, I do prefer using olive oil in salads than traditional dressing that you get at the store. To me, it just tastes better. Like a little bit of olive oil and some lemon. Oh.
Perfect. Exactly. That's all you need, or olive oil and a little. I like balsamic glaze on mine. That's perfect. That's all you need. I haven't bought dressing in years, so.
You hear that, Claire? No more ranch dressing for you.
No more ranch.
No,
and it's great too if you barbecue. Sorry to interrupt, but on steaks too, if you grill and afterwards just put a little bit of olive oil on your steak, it really changes the flavor. It's awesome.
Now, is the spicy olive oil or the olive oil with a kick, is that also available at Amazon for people?
It will be probably in the next couple of weeks, so we just need some time to get it on our store.
Okay. So right now, if somebody wanted it, it's not available right now, or is it through your actual website?
The chili is not available. We just got
Okay.
it in this week, so I would say in about a week it'll be available.
Okay.
But if this is airing in May, it is available.
No, that's great. Claire, did you have anything else you wanted to?
I'm just so happy we got to have this conversation.
Yes.
It's been great.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things I'm curious about is when you were in middle or junior high school into high school, did you at all was it brewing in your head already, this concept like, oh, I'm gonna have my own business? You might have not known what, but you just kind of thought, oh, I'm gonna have my own business. Was that ever a thing in your mind during these years?
Never. And I even remember when I was working corporate out of college, I was in a sales position, and I remember thinking to myself, I will never own a business. Like, it's too much. I am not going to do it. So it's amazing how things change in life. But I did always have the thought out of college that I wanted to work for an import business. But here I am. I mean, I am working for an import business, but it just happens to be mine.
So what did you want to do when you were done with high school? Like what did you actually think you'd be doing?
I just knew I was going to do international business in some sort of a capacity. I didn't know what exactly, but I just knew I wanted to utilize my experience and travel and knowing different cultures. I wanted to apply that, but I never in a million years thought I would own my own business.
That's awesome. Are there any regrets? Anything you could have done differently?
I think yes, I mean, of course, like when you look back, you think, oh, I could have done something differently. I think what I would have done differently probably is, again, maybe plan out the numbers better. I think as business owners, we love the concept of our business and executing our business, but as an import business, it's layered. And I think maybe just having that advisor from the get-go to kind of map out, what financials would look like. I think that's something that I would have benefited knowing from the very beginning, to be prepared for, things that perhaps are out of your control. But
Well, definitely it was a pleasure having you on this show. And just before we wrap it up, just two more things.
sure.
This question, I don't know, might be out of left field. I don't know, but how do you drink your coffee? Black or cream?
I actually put a little bit of almond milk in it.
Oh.
I know it's not very traditional. My mom's not very happy about it, but and actually lately I've been drinking yerba mate. So I've taken a small cleanse from coffee, which my mom still doesn't understand that either, but
We got to meet your mom.
yeah,
Sounds
she'll have
awesome.
some things to say about that. But yeah, I love my coffee with a little bit of coconut cream in it, or
Oh, that sounds
almond
good.
milk. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, yeah. Today we had Claire made some Lavazza coffee in honor
Love
of your
Lavazza
Italian
coffee.
heritage.
Yes, so good.
Yeah, Donatella pronounced it correctly.
Yeah, I know.
Lavazza.
I'm not good at Italian. Lavazza. Is that how it is?
Yeah,
Lavazza.
that's perfect.
I'm going to say it like that now. Lavazza.
It's perfect.
You hear that, Claire? Can you say it?
Lavazza.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
That's good.
Bravo.
Yeah, I think there was a time in my life when I really wanted to learn Italian, and then I went the French route. So then I started taking French, and I really only retained like the basic. I took like 3 years of French in high school, and I only retained a little bit of it. Yeah, such a small portion. And then with Italian, I kind of understand it.
Yeah.
Just because it's close to Spanish, but I just can't really speak it. So I kind of know what people are saying. I just can't say it back. So, but there was, I don't know, I might still do it. Italian is one of those languages that I really want to learn too. And French was great and everything, but it was probably a bigger challenge. It's like Portuguese, Italian. These are languages that are closer to Spanish, so it's easier for me to understand it.
Don't they call them the love languages?
Yeah, I think so. The romantic.
Yes, the romantic.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that
like
explains my whole personality then.
Yes, definitely.
And then I guess I just want to end this podcast. I usually end the show with my guests' biggest pet peeves. So,
Yes, I can give. So one of my biggest pet peeves is at restaurants with the waiters or the servers rushing you out. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that, in Italy, you stay at the table for a long time, and so the servers actually don't come to give you your bill until you ask them to, so it could be hours that you're there. And I think the whole is everything okay, are you okay, do you need it, it's very irritating to me, but people need to sit down and enjoy a little bit more and not be in a rush to get to the next place.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you. I like the feeling. Well, whenever I go out, it's whenever Claire and I go out, I should say, we go out because of the experience. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't mind paying a little bit more just to have that experience, but we like to be pampered. But at the same time, you're right. Like it's sometimes we get the check before we even finish eating our food, and I was like, I don't know.
It puts a damper on it. You just want to, maybe hang out a little longer.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's why I really enjoyed Islands Burgers. Is actually
love Islands Burgers.
Yeah, and Claire just had her farewell party there when she got out of Santa Barbara, and they were so amazing because they would come and they would take your order and everything. And see if there was anything you needed, and then we actually stayed there until closing, pretty much, right? It was like 10:30 or so. Mm-hmm. We got there around just a little bit after 5 p.m. And so we were there for a long time, and there was no point in time when the servers would come out and say, "Yeah, so we have another party coming. Yeah. Can we move you inside?" When it was dwindling down, they just let us be, and that was amazing.
Yeah. It really changes the experience.
That's awesome. Okay, well, Donatella, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love being here, so thank you.
Oh, what a fun interview. And that was Donatella again. Her olive oil is some of the best and most amazing olive oil that I've ever tasted. So give it a try. She has a website along with her sister, lesorelleimports.com. And that's spelled LeSorelleImports. lesorelleimports.com. I'm going to link to that website in the description to this podcast, so be sure to check that out. Again, amazing products and an amazing guest. I really want to thank her, and she's actually the first guest to shoot inside our little studio. Normally, we take the podcast gear here and go out and record our interviews out at restaurants or at different locations. So it was awesome that she came in and joined us for that. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Just email hangrymexicanpodcast at gmail.com. I'd love to read some of those comments and questions here on the show. And of course, follow us on social media. So I'll provide all that again in the podcast description. And if you enjoyed this episode and you like this podcast, just tell your friends, tell your family, and subscribe to the podcast, and go ahead and rate it as well. We're everywhere where you get your podcasts. So be sure to look for us, The Hangry Mexican. All right, everybody, thanks again for listening. And until next time, good night and good luck.